So, I went to go see Machete Kills. It's the sequel to the 2010 Grindhouse/exploitation film Machete. And once again, director Robert Rodriguez brings together Danny Trejo and a whole slew of Hollywood big names for this over-the-top action fest. And I'm bloody tired, so I'll talk a little bit more after a bit of a nap. Right, well, that's much better. Back to talking about Machete Kills. So let's be honest. Most of the people who are interested in this movie probably aren't there for the plot. They're most likely there for Danny Trejo being Danny Trejo and awesome for about an hour and a half. But for the sake of completion, let's nutshell this for you. Bad guy from Mexico steals a nuke from the US, threatens to launch said nuke at Washington, D.C. unless the US promises to invade Mexico and take care of the cartel problem there. The US president's not so hot on that, so he gets the biggest badass he can think of, which is Machete, and sends him down there to take care of the problem, and in return he's going to take care of Machete's criminal history and grant him citizenship in the United States. And so from then on, it's about a new fight scene every 10 or so minutes with some new cameo character from then until the end of the movie. It's pretty simple, all things said. And speaking of cameos, I like cameos, but there's too many in this movie. There really are. And they're not just walk-on cameos either. They're like, you know, speaking part, they actually have a role, they do stuff, they have a fight scene or two or three. That's a lot of cameos. There's one guy in the movie, he's a bad guy called the Chameleon. And his thing is, you know, every scene he's in, he takes off his head and he's a new cameo. It's a completely new actor, just like 4 or 5 different actors throughout the course of the movie, just so they could fit in more cameos without overcrowding the movie with villains. It's just... And the movie's already overcrowded with you know, people to fight, and so it's just too many cameos, guys. I know that it's cool and to have all these big names in your movie, but a little too many this time. Kind of tone it back next time. Just a little. Yeah? Now, ostensibly, Machete Kills is a Grindhouse/exploitation film. You know, kind of that 70s style, 60s style Grindhouse experience, but that's not what we're given really at all. There are a couple specific instances in the movie where, you know, it really apes that style very specifically, down to the like scratch marks on the screen and, you know, the sound quality. And that's right at the beginning. There's a trailer for the next Machete movie, Machete in Space. And then there's what would be a sex scene, but it sort of fades to, you know, like there's a problem with the film and it goes all weird, and so you just have the audio in the background and you can't really make out what's going on the screen. But that's really it. The rest of the time it looks like a decently produced, slick Hollywood movie, down to, you know, the presentation, the cinematography and the direction, and it looks good, and it looks like there's a production value behind it, in spite of that really stupid and annoying CG blood that so many movies are doing nowadays. But then it has the really corny exploitation movie sound effects for things, so it feels really off and really awkward throughout the entire movie, which is unfortunate, because if they just stuck with one or the other, it would have been so much better. But it just doesn't. Now, I have to say, I really enjoyed the performances in this movie quite a bit. Granted, they were all incredibly over-the-top, hammy performances, but what do you expect when your movie has a villainess that has Gatling guns in her bra and she has a strap-on that's a Magnum pistol? You can't get anything out of that that's not over-the-top and hammy. It's just not possible. I do have to say, the Cuba Gooding Jr.'s take with his character, his cameo, it's a lot of fun. And unfortunately, Danny Trejo isn't really given a lot to do in this movie. He has a very physical performance, which is cool, but his dialogue is almost non-existent, and what's there is sort of one-liners like, "Machete, don't tweet." So, yeah, it's a little disappointing, but it's still a good time. Unfortunately, In spite of the fantastically absurdist plot and the fun, over-the-top characters, Machete Kills was an altogether mediocre experience. It's one of those films where the production could have been better served to keep in mind less is more. There's just too many characters, too many plot threads, and really one or two too many action scenes, to be honest. It just sort of blurs together by the end, and then by the end there is really no denouement, nothing that really brings things together. There's not a really very satisfying climax. It feels like the first half of the movie, to be honest. At the end you're sort of left with this, everything cuts off abruptly and it says, "Come back for the next Machete film." And that's just, I don't know, to get your excitement and have it yanked out from under you, it's just not a fun way to end a movie, and not something that I really recommend people go to see. Of course, if you saw Machete Kills and you disagree with me, or if you agree too, please let me know, and let me know why. Until next time, enjoy film.